Last week, I did a video on the 10 best cars you could buy for under £10,000. Now, this week, we're going to half that and do it under £5,000 instead. And if you want to see the same video again at under £1,000, then all you need to do is hit the like button, 1,000 likes, and I'll make that video. That's going to be a hard one, but do subscribe if you're new here, and without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Let's kick this video off with the Brabus Roadster, which took a little sporty city smart car and blessed it with some additional features from the famous Brabus tuning house. These come with a tiny 0.7 litre turbocharged inline-3 engine, producing 101 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in a pretty sedate time of 9.5 seconds. It came in two body styles, the Roadster and Fastback Coupe. I'm personally more a fan of the latter, but either way it's a very rare car, with fewer than 250 on the roads here in the UK right now. The Brabus mods included new body stylings, a fresh and sportier interior, and most notably the Brabus alloys, which are very cool, but unfortunately are known to rust pretty terribly. The starter are £5,000 limit nowadays, and for that you'll get a 2004 model with 100k on it. Complaints about these come from the rust and the slow gear shifts from the automatic gearbox. I didn't include any MX-5s in my 10k video because I wanted to save them for this video. The Mark III MX-5, otherwise known as the NC, is great value for money and is easily one of the best options within this price range for something fun that handles incredibly well, but also is a tad more modern than the first and second generations. These come with a 2 litre inline-4 engine, which makes 157 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 7.6 seconds, not bad considering they're relatively underpowered. This car had multiple facelifts over the years, each getting progressively more angular, so typically the later the better in terms of looks and also in terms of modern equipment. It's a perfect basis for a track car too, given there are still multiple series around the world running these cars almost entirely stock. £1,500 the minimum you'll find these listed for, and 5k gets you a 2007 model with 60k on it. Typically these are pretty reliable, but rust remains the key issue, sadly. We had a GTI in the last video and we need one in this video as well. The 5th generation of the gold standard of hot hatchbacks was the car that well and truly brought the GTI badge back into the limelight after the 4th generation failed to deliver for most critics. It comes with a 2 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, which makes 197 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 7 seconds. It comes as both a 3 and 5 door, with the former being my personal favourite, and it also comes as both a manual and automatic with the DSG box. Not only did it look insanely good as standard compared to the 4th gen, it lent itself well to modifications, as whether subtle or not, these look great with a bit of personalisation. £2,000 will get you into one of these, and 5k gets you a 2007 model with 100,000 miles on the clock. Reliability wise these are pretty good, but fuel pumps can fail, as can turbos, and of course coil packs. In the mid 90s Lexus were building some of the most underrated luxury cars in the world, and the LS 400 is absolutely one of those cars, with its 4 litre V8 engine making 280 brake horsepower, the most on this list, which gets to 60 in 6.7 seconds. This car has become an absolute cult classic, as it was kinda like the luxury car equivalent of cars like the Supra. Where the Supra was meant to trouble supercars for a fraction of the cost, the LS 400 was meant to trouble the German and British luxury car makers, and it absolutely did, with its interior based off of a room from the Four Seasons and seats modelled after first-class plane seats. When you then added on that large engine, it became a really cool offering, even with the tuner community getting into them. These are listed anywhere from around the £1,500 mark, and 5k will get you into a 1999 example with high mileage still. Generally rust isn't an issue, and the engines on these have proven to do well over 200,000 miles. These really are known to be bulletproof, minus a few small maintenance jobs. It's no secret that I love an Alfa Romeo, and the GTV in particular is a car that I've considered to be a future classic for ages. In terms of Italian coupes from the 90s, I actually prefer it to the Fiat Coupe 20 valve turbo, but I know that's fully because of how biased an Alfa fan I am. You can get a nice 3 litre V6 engine in these, which makes 220 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.5 seconds, though I do think it's strange they didn't rear wheel drive these cars. It remains a Pininfarina design too, with both the exterior and interior looking unbelievably good. You won't get the most aggressive and rare GTV cut for this kind of money though, but even then, when looked after properly, these really do look like modern classic cars already. £2,000 will get you into a twin spark version of these, and £5,000 will get you a 3 litre V6 from 1999 with high mileage. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you are, do hit the like button. It is my birthday today, the day that you're watching this video, so please do hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. And as it's my birthday, in the spirit of gifting, I'll give you guys one. If you go over to carsjb.com and get yourself at least £10 worth of merch, I will give you 10% off at checkout with the code BIRTHDAY. It's all on screen in the description, all that great stuff. Head over there, get yourself some fun stuff, and yeah, happy birthday to me, all that kind of stuff. In terms of value for money, size of aftermarket, and capability from standard, there aren't many cars that are as solid as this. The Honda Civic Type R EP3 or the second generation Type R, the first that arrived here in the UK. It comes with a 2-litre inline-4 engine with VTEC producing 197 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.4 seconds. That engine is the hallowed K20, meaning that it's got incredible tuning potential and is incredibly reliable when maintained properly, which is excellent news. These are built to be fast from scratch and work well on track with limited modifications. Some upgraded pads and some good rubber is all you need to have a bunch of fun in these, and I also reckon they've got future classic potential as well. These start at around £4,000 and 5k gets a 2004 model with 100k on it. Stretched timing chains, worn steering racks, worn seat bolsters and rusty rear arches are the main things to look out for on these. We're going back to the OG Boxster now, the 986 base model, which came with a 2.7 litre flat 6 engine producing 220 brake horsepower and managing 0 to 60 in 6.4 seconds, matching the Civic. This sports car was built to offer the Porsche ownership experience to a wider range of people, being at a lower price point to the 911. But just because it was cheaper doesn't mean it was in any way worse, and these 2.7 litre non-S models were the best when it came to reliability, suffering less with the IMS, RMS and bore scoring issues that terrified potential owners of the S models. Yes, that means it lacks a bit of the power and sportiness of the S, but as a bit of a classic already, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You can get faster cars than the 986 Boxster for the same price, so you would instead go for one of these for the love of the car. These run you around £4,000 at the bottom end, and 5k gets your 2001 model with around 100k on it. When Audi properly hit the hot hatch market in the late 90s and early 2000s, they did so with this, the first gen Audi S3, which came equipped with a 1.8 litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, producing 221 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.4 seconds. That BAM engine is well known at this point, and it's pretty solid from a reliability point of view, or at least the main problems like coil pack failure are very well known. The S3 was still pretty early in the running of S and RS cars from the Audi brand, so the formula isn't quite as aggressive maybe as modern day examples, but that almost adds to the charm of the car, especially when combined with the simplicity both outside and in. And as an all-wheel drive hot hatch, it was pretty well ahead of its time, setting us up for the Golf Rs and A45s we see today. These run around £2,000 at the bottom end, and 5k gets your 2003 model with 90,000 miles on the clock. It's the final hot hatchback on the list, and the one that had the most iconic advertising campaign, the Renault Megane RS, which came with a 2-litre turbocharged inline-4 engine, producing 225 brake horsepower, taking it to 60 in 6.3 seconds. So it's an interesting car to put on this list because it actually didn't deliver as well as the Clio RSs in terms of performance. It was a bit softer and a bit less performant than those cars when compared to its class, and compared to future Megane RSs. However, I am a big fan of its iconic shape, and the chassis itself is actually really good, on an engine which is nowhere near as unreliable as you might expect of a French car from its era. The R26R would be amazing to own, but given prices are insane, the fact that these are so cheap is going to have to make do. These listed for anywhere around the £4,000 mark, while 5k gets you into a 2006 example with 90,000 miles on it. Taking the top spot is a properly cool car for the money, the BMW 330ci Clubsport from the E46 Generation 3 series. These come with a 3-litre inline-6 engine producing 227 brake horsepower, taking them to 60 in 6.3 seconds. Not quite M3 performance, but certainly not bad. It's rarer than the M3 still, even if it is mechanically the same car as the standard 330ci. The main changes were actually weight related, plus the added sports suspension, with the unique alloys and spoiler being telltale signs. For me, these are a cheaper route into special classic BMW ownership, and they are starting to turn more and more heads in the wild. These cost around 5k at the bottom end, and you'll be getting a high mileage 2004 example for that kind of money. They're mostly reliable too from an engine perspective, but there were known issues with the rear subframe and boot floor cracking. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, do hit the like button and subscribe as well if you're new. Massive thanks to the patrons support you guys as well for watching. Reminder, carsjb.com, promo code birthday at checkout for 10% off any orders over 10 quid. And if you want to see a video on some great warm hatchbacks, then click up here and subscribe down here.